F1 is back after the second month break of the season, and we start the beginning of this crucially important triple header in Texas at Circuit of the Americas. The upcoming triple header could very well decide this year's World Drivers' Championship battle and is sure to be a thrilling few races in the Americas before wrapping up the season overseas. In this video, we're going to go over all my predictions for the grid, starting with the sprint race, going to quali, and then, of course, the final grid for the race as well. Some headlines coming in to the weekend, particularly the upgrades teams will be bringing. So let's get started right away with my predictions for the sprint race. We're going to get right through the sprint, quali, and race because I think the bigger race with the more points is obviously going to be more important. But we'll go over really quick what I think. I think Charles Leclerc will get pole for the sprint. I'm not going to have the same prediction for the race, but sprint, I think it's going to be Leclerc, Lando, and Max top three, with the usual suspects filling out the top 10. But sprint race, I do think the McLaren and Lando Norris are going to be favorable in the short run. I think in the sprint they're going to be able to. I think they'll be able to win the sprint. I have a little bit different feeling about the main race. I think in certain stints the Ferrari's been a lot better than the McLaren. Just depends. There's so many different upgrades. It's really hard to tell. But for the sprint, I have Lando winning, Max in second, and Leclerc in third, with Piastri in fourth and Sainz in fifth. I think that because it's a sprint, they're going to be a little bit more antsy to kind of get their position and get ahead. I think when Leclerc and Lando are going to be battling, I think Max will be able to move in there and take at least one of those spots. He might end up in first, but will probably get passed by Lando at some point because the McLaren's been so much better. So I'm going to go Lando, Max, and Leclerc. Let's get on to the main grid of the actual qualifying. Q1 exits. Gonna be your usual suspects. We're gonna run through it. We got Guan Yu Zhou, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon. Where are you at, bum? K Mag, I think, is gonna go out in Q1 as well. And oh god, who else do I have here? Where's Stroll at? No, I have Stroll in 14th. That can't be right. We're gonna have Stroll in. All right, we're gonna have Stroll in 15th. All right, Stroll's gonna make it out of Q1 this time. All right, we'll give him Q1 this time, but I'm gonna have Gasly be the last Q1 exit. I'm gonna have Gasly be the last Q1 exit. Where are you at? Where the fuck? All right, both Alpines, both Saubers out in Q1. Rounding out the bottom of Q2, we're gonna go Stroll. Yuki. I don't think the RB is gonna be good, man. I'm gonna have Yuki in 14th, Hulk in 13th, Lawson in 12th, who's gonna have to be Danny Rick. Sorry, RIP. And 11th, we're gonna have Franco Colapinto. He's been pretty good. The Williams has been trending upwards. Again, with all these upgrades, it's hard to tell who's gonna do what and how each car is gonna be. They could all be fucking shit. Who knows, man? They could all be a mess. But let's get into the top 10. Rounding out the bottom of the top 10, Chad Lonzo, Fernando. He's going to be in 10th. I got Albon in 9th. Those have kind of been my two favorites for 9th to 10th the last couple of weeks, but that's kind of been where they've both been trending, and it's been pretty close as well. So 8th, Perez doing nothing as usual. 7th, we're going to have both of the McLarens, Russell behind Hamilton, 7th and 6th, with Sainz in 5th. Piastri 4th, and your top three. This is where it gets tricky. For some reason, I have a feeling the Ferrari is going to be good this weekend, and I also have the feeling that Norris and Max will place next to each other one way or the other. Those are just the feelings I get about the weekend. Don't know why, but we're going to go with Max in third, Leclerc in second, and on pole, we're going to go with Lando Norris. The race prediction might just be wishful thinking. But we're gonna move on to the race prediction here. Again, your pole position, I'm gonna go with Lando, Charles in second, and Verstappen in third. Let's go on to the race though, because this is where it gets a little tricky. I'm gonna start with the winner first. I think it's gonna be Leclerc. I feel good about the Ferrari this weekend. Everybody's got upgrades. It's hard to tell who's gonna do what, but I have a good feeling about Leclerc this weekend. Don't know why. Could end up being a classic Ferrari and they like double DNF or go out in Q1 or something like that. I don't know, but I have a good feeling about it. So we're going to go Leclerc in first. I don't think Norris will fall too far behind. I'm going to have him in second with Verstappen in third, and that'll kind of bring together both those predictions of Ferrari doing well and Lando and Max placing next to each other. I do kind of just feel like that's going to happen. I think that's going to be a trend for a lot of the rest of the season. Somehow, I think Max will find some pace and just stay next to Norris to the point where he's not going to be able to come back in the championship. So on to the rest of the grid. I'm going to say Piastri stays in fourth, Sainz stays in fifth, and the rest kind of stays the same. I think George in sixth, Lewis in seventh. Yeah, we'll say they switch. I think Russell was going to pass Hamilton during the race. We're gonna go Perez in eighth. You know what, dude? Oh God, is Williams gonna pass him now? Fine, we'll leave him. We'll leave him alone. We'll leave him alone eighth. Ninth is Alexander Albon and Alonso getting the last point in 10th. Rest of the grid, that doesn't even matter. The rest of the bums down here, they're all going to be booted anyway. So let's get on to the cool stuff. So first of all, based on the points right now, Max has 331 and Lando has 279. The current gap's 52 points. I think based on my predictions that after the race it's going to be 353 to 305, which will narrow the gap to 48 points with 5 races left. Um, only squeaking out 4 points a race, adding, taking off that gap is not going to work. But that's what I think is going to happen this weekend. Let's move on to some of the news coming in as well, because there's been a lot of talk about upgrades coming into this race, because it's kind of the last big break and the last chance to really test some upgrades before you implement them and make sure that you want to make that decision. Because for McLaren, for example, we're going to go in constructors order here. McLaren unveil latest MCL 38 upgrade plan ahead of F1's return. Their issue is pretty much they introduced the new floor back in Miami when Lando Norris had his first win of the season and his first win altogether. And they haven't changed it since then. They've ran the last 12 races with that same floor and have had obviously a lot of success with it. So at this point, they're wondering, do we change this? Do we change that? What they've said is they've pretty much shifted the attention off of the wings and the floor and have worked on other things like suspension and other little odds and ends where they don't have to change major parts about the car. But this is the bigger issue is this is a point in the season where other teams could bring big enough upgrades where now if you don't make upgrades, then that really good upgrade you had all year might not be good enough anymore. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky. Let's move on to Red Bull. There's been talk about a magic floor this weekend. Okay, so they're going to change their floor. That's kind of been the story of the year. They've changed it so many times. They've tried to A/B test with them, split test between Verstappen and Perez, to not really much success. A lot of the times, I think the one time that they actually had good success in that testing was, I believe, Baku, or I might be mistaken, when Perez placed ahead. No, Perez crashed out in that race. Oh, he was ahead though. Anyway, Perez was ahead in one of the races for a good amount of the time with the other floor on, and Max was trying a different floor and obviously was not working as well. So that's their problem here. They're going to try to do a whole new floor. They're going to bring a big upgrade package, and this will probably be one of their last packages because they have no money because Perez crashed it all away. So they got no other chance for development. I know I saw weeks ago that they already said that they're going to uh, take resources from this year and put them towards next year because they already kind of given up on this car because they just completely fucked it. But anyway, moving on to Ferrari. Fred Vasseur said that this will be their last upgrade package for the year, and he says that it's probably going to be the same story for most teams as well. With 5-6 races left, the grid might get tight, and every little bit can help. That's going to be the story here, and everybody's going to bring a lot of upgrades, so it's going to be very interesting to see which ones work right away and which ones people are going to have to revert and then try to work around, because the issue is there's a sprint race and not 3 full practice sessions, so there's not going to be a whole lot of chance for testing other than in the sprint race where there's points at risk. So that's where it gets tricky. So Ferrari, they're saying they're going to bring a nice upgrade package as well. It's going to be the last one of the season. Last one we're going to talk about is Mercedes. Mercedes said that they are going to bring a substantial upgrade package and celebrate another milestone for Hamilton. Yeah, whatever. Um, in the break, I think it was Toto saying this, I believe. Yeah, Toto said, in the break, we'll be trying to figure out how to mitigate what ailed us this weekend in Singapore, figure out how to make the tires run better, overheat on circuits, da 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 da. Well, you've got a fairly substantial set of new clothes coming for the car. I don't know why you got to say it like that. For Austin, that we hope will give us a decent weekend there. So we've got to deliver all that and get ourselves ready for these last few races of the year. So everyone's coming in hot. Everyone's got upgrade packages. Everyone's ready to go. It's really just a matter of who's going to hit the ground running and who's going to sputter a little bit, because we've seen Ferrari come through with some bad upgrades before. Red Bulls came through with some very bad upgrades before. We've seen Aston Martin with bad upgrades this year. I kind of feel like Mercedes and McLaren have been the two most consistent with their upgrades this year, and they've both been kind of on the same track, and they started with the flexi front wings and all this other stuff, all these little odds and ends that some other teams didn't have. And it seems like they've had the best development, trail throughout the season. And I would venture to guess that's going to continue here. I'd love to put Mercedes a bit higher, but I don't know, dude. It just feels like the top 4, the top 5, 6 are just really strong recently. It feels like it's not moving much, and I don't know if they're, of course Toto's going to say, "Oh, it's an amazing upgrade package. It's going to fucking change every," you know what I mean? But Who knows? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Who do you think is going to win this weekend? Who's going to win the sprint? Uh, is it going to be Leclerc? Am I crazy? Or are we going to see another Leclerc win this year, another milestone win? Or is Lando going to extend his lead over Max? Who's going to DNF too? I didn't even go over that. Who's going to DNF, man? There's got to be some DNFs here. It's going to be a crazy weekend. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be 3 races in a row, followed by Vegas, and then 2 more races overseas to finish off the season. It's going to be great, and it's going to be tight one way or the other. There's no way it's not going to be a tight finish to this season. So, like the video if you like the video, subscribe, and I'll be back with more F1 content and doing a recap of qualifying as well as the race and the sprint qualifying. So, I'll be here. Peace.